start with this. Do they have a job or don't they? There is confusion, as you might imagine, from federal workers all across the country because the Office of Personnel Management said each agency can now decide on how to respond to that email from Elon Musk demanding employees list 5 of their accomplishments. This directly opposes Elon Musk's demand. So let us bring in CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. She's breaking it all down for us. Olivia, it's so hard to understand what's going on here because you've got Elon Musk saying that you have to respond to his request to list your 5 accomplishments, or that will result in termination. But you've got the heads of these various government agencies telling their workers that the people at the top of those organizations, are going to be the ones to decide how this proceeds. So what are workers supposed to do?
Yeah, Vlad, it really just depends what agency you're with. We know that Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy told his employees that work with the agency, you have to reply, and you should reply. But we've also heard from Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, as well as some members of the Pentagon, who told their people, because you deal with such classified information, don't reply or hold off on replying, or if you do reply, do it in coordination with us so we know what you're saying. But this really just does depend what agency you fall under. Now, of course, you mentioned that the Office of Personnel Management told these secretaries, look, it's voluntary, it's up to you, it's up to your people to decide. But Musk issued a new threat last night where he said, basically, it's round 2. If you don't reply this time, we will consider this your resignation. So a lot of confusion that we're seeking clarity on from the White House today. But we did hear from President Trump yesterday about this very issue. And he was essentially asked, is there a rift between these secretaries and Elon Musk about what they're essentially supposed to do with this email? And he maintains that it's not these secretaries going against Musk, but rather them being protective of some of the classified information that they deal with. Take a listen here to what he had to say about that specifically.
What he's doing is saying, are you actually working? And then if you don't answer, like you're sort of semi-fired or you're fired, because a lot of people are not answering because they don't even exist.
So there you hear the president sort of backing Elon Musk over his secretary, saying, look, what he's doing is actually asking if people are actually working, which is what Musk says he's doing. Musk also downplaying the email, saying it's just an email. This should not be such a big deal. So interesting to note there that they are essentially downplaying the impact of this email that went out to 2.3 million federal workers. Did the president clarify what the definition of semi-fired means? I mean, am I semi-dead? Am I semi-stoned? Am I what does that mean? To my knowledge, he did not clarify what a semi-fired would actually mean, but it's a good question, and it's something we'll be asking the White House later. What does that mean? Is that these employees that are placed on administrative leave to be fired at a later date? Who actually has to answer this? Who is combing through what would be 2 million emails from federal employees explaining what they did, and who gets to judge whether or not it is sufficient enough of what they're doing that would amount to keeping their job or not, or being semi-fired. That's why I'm so impressed by you, Olivia, because you can take what is pretty much a silly question and add some seriousness to that question, as you would as a White House reporter. I love that. All right, let me ask you about this judge who's upholding the White House's ban on the Associated Press's access, at least for now, as it decides the merits of the case. I do love that the White House press corps, from what I understand, Olivia, yesterday when French President Emmanuel Macron was visiting with President Trump, the Associated Press had their French reporter for the Associated Press ask one of the first questions to both men. But what are you hearing about what it means for the U.S. White House representatives of the Associated Press? Yeah, they certainly did do that. We did see yesterday, though, a federal judge denied this emergency motion from the Associated Press that would essentially restore their access to Air Force One and the Oval Office. We saw that access taken away after the Associated Press did not change their wording from Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. They took away that access. The White House did. The AP sued. Now, this federal judge says they want to have a full briefing on this case before making any sort of decision. But for now, they denied that emergency motion. We know Trump, of course, signed that executive order on his first day in office, changing the name from Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. I do want to read a quote from the AP in a statement that they've put out. They said, "We will stand for the right of independent media everywhere and a ruling that reinforces the right to free speech," which was the whole argument of this case. And I should note that the CBS News also signed on to a letter from the White House Correspondents Association calling for this ban to be lifted.
And so did, as I understand it, Olivia, other news organizations who are not generally considered moderate or objective, including some of, for example, Newsmax and others that also signed on to this letter. Am I right about that?
Yes, you are. You are, Vlad.
Yeah. All right. Olivia Rinaldi, always bringing it for us. Thank you, Olivia. Appreciate it.